If you know someone who's a people pleaser and you're tired of it, or if you're a people pleaser and you want to know how you can reinvent yourself, you have to stay tuned because this is the show for you. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't have to miss a show. This is season 1.5, our build up to season 2. This podcast is all about authentic conversations. It's all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and expand in your life and become your authentic self, this is the podcast for you. Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Authentic Talks. We have season 1.5. So we're going to have a series here on Elevating Your Mind series and how to reinvent yourself. Our first one today that we're talking about is people pleasing. I want to share with you guys what happened with me. Growing up, I was not a people pleaser. I do realize that I was a peacemaker, and I oftentimes tried to be that person that would bring people together who didn't like each other or who were upset with each other, and just being that one that was like, hey guys, let's just get past this. As I grew older, I married someone who my mother could not stand. She didn't like my husband for the life that was within her. Like, there was nothing that you really could do or say around that time that could convince her otherwise. So I ended up becoming someone who had to appease my mother and also appease my husband. So as a result of that, it caused me to grow into this personality that really wasn't me. And before long, I woke up one day and I was like this people pleaser, and it started to expand beyond my home. It got to the point where back in that day, I would show up at work and that's who I was. I would go to school, I was in college, and I would show up and that's who I was, that people pleaser. I was that way like just in my life, period. The only place that I was not that way was with my children, because I felt like I genuinely was giving them things or my time or whatever it was, and it was from my heart, and I never felt this urge to say no, but did it anyway. When you become a people pleaser, you guys, you start to lose your sense of self. And you guys know I'm huge on self-love, self-respect, self-worth, all of those things. And being a people pleaser, it doesn't fit in. There's no room for that when you're exercising those things. Now, I want to share with you guys, when you're a people pleaser, you're doing things that for other people that you don't want to do, and you'll put yourself last. You'll get to the point where if making them happy and pleasing them, you'll put that at number one. You'll put it at the top of your list before you do yourself and your feelings. You have a very difficult time saying no, like I said, when you're a people pleaser and you come across as being too nice, because you are, because you don't have the capacity within you to be assertive. You can't say no. And I'll tell you one thing that is the worst thing ever, to be a people pleaser when you are in a management or a supervisor position. That's the worst, because you start breaking all the rules. You don't follow by any of the policies or anything, and you have a difficult time conveying messages that can get the job done. And so you want to get to the point where you're not that way, because that right there can also lower the morale on a job. Whenever you have someone that is a people pleaser and they're not able to stand up and lead the department or lead the team or the store, whatever type of situation it is that you're in. And I've experienced that when I had worked at a movie theater in younger years in my life, and it was the worst. I just couldn't stand it. Sometimes, though, it helps you as a person to grow. When you see other things in people, it's a reflection of you. You see it in yourself and you're like, wait a minute, I do that too. And I wonder if other people notice that I have that. And I'm not talking to people like who are just genuinely nice and you're doing it from a place of love and you're not feeling stressed out about it. You don't go home at night like, why did I do that? I wish I had said no. I wish I had not put the money in that I really didn't have. And I wish I wouldn't have succumbed to the pressure of having to do this because I just can't afford it. And sometimes when you can't say no, you get this pressure that hits you guys. And I'm going to tell you, it's the worst when it's Christmas time and birthdays and you feel this pressure to buy coworkers gifts or put in money for things that you really just don't have the money. And then sometimes people would get irritated or upset when someone would say that they really didn't have the money. And that just really is a hot mess there, because that is someone who is standing up and showing that, hey, I'm not a people pleaser. I've heard of a story where someone had a car that went into repossession. It was repoed because they decided to use money that they did not have to put it in for something else, to please someone else by buying them a gift. And when you continue to do this over and over again, you guys, it's going to cost you. It can cost you your home if you have a home. It can go into foreclosure when you're not able to separate the two and you're constantly wanting to be a people pleaser by being too flashy or just constantly acting like you have all this money that you truly just don't have. Sometimes that happens with single moms. It happens with married couples as well. With all of us, it can happen to any of us, but it's just okay to say no. And so people pleasers find it hard to say no. They're afraid of rejection from others. They suffer at the expense of doing things for others. They're emotionally dependent in relationships, and they rarely show compassion towards themselves. So they mostly don't want to see others going through anything difficult. And people have a tendency to use them a lot because they think that they're pushovers. And here's the thing, you guys, no one really knows them, because they don't really show up and show their true personality oftentimes. So here's what you can do. If you're a people pleaser, I want you to write this down, you guys. You have to do this. This is how you're going to be able to get over this. You need to write down these 4 things, because we don't want you to end up suffering from anxiety. We don't want you to repress your emotions anymore. We want you to be free. Okay. So first things first, and this is what I had to do years ago, you guys, and it feels good to get to that place. But a lot of people think that I'm really too nice, but they don't know that I do what I want to do. And if I can't do it, I'm going to tell you, no, I don't have a problem with that. And so it's important to get to that place. Now, first, what is it that you desire the most? The second thing is, what do you value the most? And I know that growing up, we had to take on our parents' values, but as an adult, what is it that you value the most? You have to know this in order for you to get to the root of the problem. What causes you fear? That's the third thing. And number 4, what is your greatest strength? Okay. Now, you guys, I want you to know, not being a people pleaser doesn't mean that you walk around being a complete, you know what, to people. That's not cool. I'm talking about where you're just assertive, a good way. And we all have blind spots in our personality. So it's really good for us to do a self-assessment and to know like when we're being a certain type of way. So are you the peacemaker? Are you the giver? Are you the loyalist? Are you the performer? Who are you? It's important to know that. You guys, here's the thing that's crazy. When I asked a few people, like, what is it that you value? Even when I was asked that question, I was kind of like, I start thinking about like other things that like maybe were the values of, that my mother had growing up. And I had to really sit there for a moment and assess, like, what is it that I truly value? And it was really nice once I went through my exercise and I was able to figure out, okay, well, this is what's most important to me. And so I want you to write those 4 questions down and answer them. As far as your values, is it about happiness? Is it about your spirituality? Just go through and figure out, what are they? Answer those questions and then start saying no. Just say no, you guys. This is how you can move forward and not be a people pleaser, and stand up and speak up. It's okay to speak up. You don't have to be rude about it, but you do have a voice for a reason. It's time for you to use it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.